If you pay them, they will come. There's highly skilled labor out there. There is when it comes to certain areas, and heavy construction is one of them. Nathan Brandt is, well, he's a business agent with the Local 49. So we're talking about the guys that know what it's like to crawl up in a crane. We're talking about the women that know what it's like to hop into that Caterpillar and make sure the new road is built. That's what they do. He's also the mayor of Wyoming, so I get to talk to him about a couple things. So, Mayor Brandt, good to have you back coming down the road with us.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks for having me back.
Let's talk about jobs first. Let's talk about where we're at. It seems to me that in a couple of the big projects, they haven't gone so well, and they had to come back and knock on the door for some union help.
Yeah.
True or not?
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah, plenty of times. It's, the thing that we pride ourselves on is our training, right? So the skilled workforce that we have, and for the contractors to utilize, they enjoy them because they can go to work and do their job and don't have to have their hands held. And, start of the morning, this is what I need done, and they get it done.
You told me one time to get in my pickup and drive over to Minnesota, that you had a place there that did just that. You brought the type of training to skilled operators that would make them be safe, do the job right. Talk to people about that center. Talk about where it is and explain to them all about it.
Well, it's Local 49's training center in Hinckley, Minnesota. We have 400 acres out there. We have an indoor 100 by 300 foot building so when it's 30 below, we can still do some training on the inside. It's taught by journeymen that have been on the job anywhere from 15 to 25 years. They know all the tricks of the trade, and it's not always necessarily teaching somebody how to run a piece of equipment. It's also about getting rid of bad habits. Safety is huge for us out there. Everybody goes through a safety training course where they're out running the equipment. If they back up and don't look behind them, they get taken out of the equipment for the day. So it's stressed, and that's what our contractors need, safety on the job, also production, different ways of doing things to be more productive. And it's for that person that's never been out there, never been in a piece of equipment. We have a world-class apprenticeship that we have. And in fact, Joel, I was going to tell you today that in the last 2.5 years, we've had 957 people sign up for our apprenticeship. That's huge.
It's huge. Absolutely huge. I can tell you, having been there, the guys that run it, they're not joking.
Nope.
When you say they'll pull them out of a piece of equipment for a day, it's like the walk of shame.
It is.
I mean, they're serious about safety.
Yep.
In other words, the membership dues are, you're putting your money where your mouth is.
Yep. I mean, that's what it's all about. That training center was purchased by our members. We didn't take any tax breaks from that township where we could have. We actually built the township road up and built them a brand new little meeting hall, because right where our site sits there, originally that's where they had their meeting hall. So we're
in
good.
other words, you talk to the locals.
Yeah, we talk to the locals. The only issue we have with the locals is we have to shut it down during deer season because they say that's the best place to hunt. So
that's legitimate too.
Yeah, it's a real deal.
That's a fair concern.
It is. So during Minnesota deer hunting, we shut our training center down.
Exactly. Can you see it, Nathan, when you're driving by on the road? Can you see the difference? Now, I'm not talking about the training center. I'm talking about union work versus non-union work. When you're driving by and you see a construction site and you look at the amount of time it's taking to do it, can you tell the difference between your operators and others?
Well, you can, but I mean, it doesn't matter. There's guys out there that work non-union that are great operators. Sometimes it's the company and how things are ran a little different. I mean, each contractor does, what they want to do. And basically, it's a lot of time the non-union guys are coming to us because, hey, we want the pay and the benefits. And more times than anything, it's the benefits. I mean, they're good operators. There's good operators everywhere. They're just looking at it saying, hey, I don't want to pay, anywhere from $600 to $900 a month for health insurance because I know that the union guys don't have to.
Yeah.
In some of our pensions and stuff like that. That's the difference. I mean, you can tell in some certain aspects of it because I don't think the training is there. A lot of it might happen on the job for the newer people. But, there's good operators everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Tell people what the difference is between a state like Minnesota and North Dakota when it comes to union work.
Well, North Dakota is a right to work state. And when you hear the word right to work, it's very misconstrued. The thing about right to work is we have union contractors that work in both states. All three are North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota is our jurisdiction for our union. But in South Dakota, North Dakota, it's the person that works for the company. It's their decision if they want to be a union member or not. Okay. Everybody says, well, it's right to work. We can do what we want. Well, no, you can't. There's still contracts and ways to follow it. But Minnesota is a non-right to work state. If you're going to work for a union contractor, that owner of that construction company is going to say, hey, you're great. I want you to work here, but you're going to go join a union because we're a union company. Where in North Dakota, it's, you can if you want, but you don't have to. So, I mean, that's the difference because of the right to work laws.
You and I grew up around, what we called Melrose growing up.
Yep.
Now it's turned into Doosan where they build Bobcats. You've had family that worked there. I've had family that worked there. That was a union place. Of course, North Dakota being a so-called right to work state, you didn't have to join, but people did join.
Yep.
Why?
Well, because they had a voice in their contract. I mean, it's like anything else. If you're wrong, do you have somebody to help you? You might have made a mistake one day or get disciplined for something you don't feel that was necessary. You have an advocate for you. I mean, that's what I am. I'm an advocate for our members. I'm also an advocate for our contractors. You have somebody, because a lot of people don't like confrontation. It's not necessarily that I like it, but if somebody's wronged, it's my job to go in there and intercede and say, hey, was this really an issue? Did somebody have a bad day? We have a contract. The members get to vote on that contract, what goes into the contract, how much money. Obviously there has to be an agreement between the contractors and the members, but they have a voice and they decide what goes in there, what their pay is, what their pension is. They have their say in it, where we don't have to go for and ask for a raise every year, Joel. May 1 of every year we get a raise. So I mean, that's a nice thing too.
So when you look at what Local 49 does, can you find the people to replace the folks you have retiring?
Yeah.
So there are people coming into the heavy equipment operation that are willing to come in and work and run that equipment?
Absolutely. It's like I told you a little bit ago. I mean, we had 957 people apply to become apprentices. That's the people that are taking the seats from the people that are retiring. Okay. They get in that apprenticeship. It's 5 years. They learn everything: safety, number one, equipment maintenance, equipment operation, theories behind it, right? I mean, you talk to guys that are 35 years in the trade, you ask them, well, what's the theory of it? Well, I'm going to go out and make this black field look like something. And they just know how to do it. So we're teaching them, so, I mean, that's the big thing of it.
So, okay, for me, I saw something start and just build and build. Mm-hmm. Block 9, downtown Fargo. Yep. Some heavy-duty crane work there.
Yeah.
People up in, up those for a long time. Mm-hmm. Were those union guys?
Yep.
They were?
Those were Local 49 members.
Okay.
Yep, they were in the tower cranes. And you look at another bigger project around the area, Sanford Hospital. That was all our guys in the tower cranes and most of the dirt work and everything like that.
Doing it the right way.
Yep.
As mayor, what's the worst part of the job?
I don't think it's a bad job.
I was waiting for you to say dogs.
Nah, that's not an issue.
Barking dogs are...
I think, though, we do have the highest per capita of dogs per person in our town, of the whole county. I will say that. But
okay, so let me ask it in a different way. What's the biggest challenge?
Housing. It's huge. We don't have a house for sale in Wyoming. The Richland County JPA, which Commissioner Burseth acquired that money for Richland County for the diversion stuff. We've built one house, a spec house in Wyoming. It's hopefully going to be sold here shortly. We're looking for other ground. We've got a couple lots that are open up. We're going to build some more houses. It's pretty exciting, but it's if a house comes up for sale, it's gone quickly,
So what happens to the revenue made for the house? And just for some background for folks, Richland County suffered some damage to lands on the northern end of the county when the diversion went in, when the Fargo diversion protection went in. And so there was a settlement. I think it was around, $4 million? that came to Richland County, and if I got the,
I think it's a little more than that, but
okay, but the dollar amount went to work on building houses in these in these towns where it was needed. So you sell that house that you built, that spec house. Where's the money go?
It's actually it's through the JPA. The city, we've been getting the lots. We turn it over to our CDC. They put in a grant or a application to JPA. If it's accepted, it goes to the JPA has house builders. They have a consortium of house builders. They pick one, and it's out of our hands at that point. It's between the house builder and the JPA to get the house sold.
But when that house is built and you've got it sold, does the money from that house then perpetuate into another house?
Well, it will because of property tax. I mean, that money right there is goes to this the county will get their cut from it. The house itself, the contractor selling it. So basically, how it works is we secure a lot, we give it to our CDC program. They fill out an application, and if they get a builder to build the house, and then it's out of their hands too. So we're letting the contractors come in. We do have some, what we want to see for housing. Wyoming can't sustain selling $500,000 homes. We want affordable homes that are going to work for people, and we want them to be able to sell them. So that's kind of the program right now. It's working. We're getting lots back, bare lots. We're developing, and we're looking to purchase more land to put kind of a little, if you will, subdivision right in the middle of town, where the rodeo grounds are there. That's something that we've looked at that we can expand.
If you look at Wyoming, it's sitting in a very industrial area, and Richland County is that. So you're in between Milner, so they're Gwinner, I should say, where they're building Bobcats, and you go to Wahpeton, and of course Wahpeton's always been an industrial town, and people don't want to live in those communities oftentimes. You're in the perfect spot for that. We are. We have both Highway 18 and Highway 13. If you took Highway 2 out of North Dakota, Highway 13 would probably be the most traveled state highway. I think you look at the records, it's 3,500 vehicles a day going by our town. So it's a place where we want to grow. We've done street projects on the east side of town to shore up some issues we've had. We just got done with those last year. We're on the build, is what I like to say, because I can remember as a kid, you'd ride down Main Street in Wyoming, you had all kinds of stuff to do. Well, now it's kind of, it's changed. We've gone to that bedroom community mentality because of just what you've explained, but we're fighting back. We've got businesses open. We got the Pelican out on the highway that brings everybody in. Wyoming Auto is expanded their business. We're looking at some stuff downtown, and Lincoln State Bank's always been a pillar in our community. They took a chance and built a brand new building downtown several years ago, so we're pretty excited about what's going on. So what do you do with the property that people let get run down? Because every small town has that as well, that they've got individuals, the next thing you know, a bunch of old junky cars around, or there's no shingles on the roof, no siding. I mean, what do you do as a city council and as a mayor when it comes to that? Well,
we have an abatement process, and we follow it very closely. Each person is treated the exact same. Once we have an inspector come in and they deem it that, hey, it's not up to code, they have 120 days to bring it up to code. And if not, we reserve the right to have the property tore down. We don't want to get in business of buying places and tearing everything down, but if they're going to be abandoned, that's what we're going to do because we want to improve our community.
There was a guy in Morton years before that was Mayor Morton. You're too young to ever have met him, but Pick Remmett.
And he lived right across the street from my grandma's. I knew Pick.
So you knew Pick. Yep. Okay, well, Pick, as mayor, if you didn't have tabs on your vehicle, and it was still there a year later, he had his nephews, the Klosterman boys, drag that out to their farm and say, you know what, the vehicle doesn't belong. He didn't make any friends, but he always got elected. Yeah. Because you're going to make some enemies doing that. But the attitude, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Well, in Wyoming, it's pretty a clean town. We don't have a lot of issues with that stuff. I think it's just the people take really good pride in their yards. Our streets are getting better again. We're proud of our schools, so we want people when they come into town to have a good taste in their mouth and say, hey, this is kind of a neat community, and we're trying to build around that. We're kind of a little handcuffed right now with the size of the project that we did, so we're trying to be financially responsible to the people in town, so we're not just going to go willy-nilly spending all our money.
Yeah.
But we have a great commission that has the same goal, and it's picking out blocks or areas that, hey, we need improvement, what can we do, or help, or whatever. And it's, I mean, I've always been proud to live in Wyoming. I enjoy the community. It's easy to get anywhere from there. That's the nice part too. So
Yeah. How many minutes is Wyoming from Fargo?
it depends on if I go straight north, it's about 53 minutes. If I go to the highway, it's probably about 55. So,
Yeah. It also depends on the time of day.
Right. Yep.
How many deer have you hit driving to Fargo every day?
I think I've hit 4, and they're all in the same spot, Happy Valley.
Yeah.
So, yep.
I've hit so far driving to Fargo every day, I think 2.
Yeah.
And there was one young one that didn't make her.
Yeah.
The other ones I just tickled a little bit.
Yep.
In terms of a town like Wyoming, and what we're describing could be any town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be Napoleon, it could be Wishick, it could be all of those towns that might be watching us right now saying, hey, Heitkamp, don't forget my town.
Right.
This is a perfect example. But many of those towns end up being people on very fixed income that are living out, their lives
Right.
after having made that town. I've got 2 aunts in Wyoming that they're single dwelling. I mean,
Yep.
they just want to live there, and that's home for them.
Right.
How do you make sure that they can do so in an affordable way, because they're on fixed incomes?
Right. I mean, that's the biggest thing, because my parents are knocking on the door of 80 as well too. So we always take that in consideration as we want to improve our community, but we don't want to push people out either. So you have to do what you can. We're actually even looking at doing some senior living in town, so that might work to get people out of their homes and sell those homes. But it's always in the back of your mind. I mean, you don't want to push anybody. I mean, heck, I've been in Wyoming for 46 years, and I look, at Carol or whoever, and it's like, my parents, they've been there 70 years, and you want to try to still respect them, and what their finances are, right? So it's just something in the back of your head that when you're doing, like we're doing assessments now for this project we did, we take a look at that. We try to spread it out over everybody, because everything that we're doing in town benefits everybody, so that lowers the price. What the city can afford to put into the program as well too, to bring that assessment down. But at some point too, though, you have to continue to go forward, right? So you get some phone calls, or if you're walking in the street, swerve at you a little bit once in a while, and you know what's going on. But I mean, it's a hard thing, but you still have to continue to move forward. And the way you take care of a community is people have to start caring and help. When you ask for help, to do things, volunteer. Because it's always the same 5 people that do everything, and they get burnt out, and that's how these smaller communities start dying,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's about doing community service, lending a hand, doing what you can, and being, type of a family in a small town, and things will move forward.
I was at Uncle Ralph's one time years ago, and he didn't have the tool that he wanted to have, if you can imagine that about Uncle Ralph. He walks across to Sikorsky's, takes it. He didn't talk to John. He didn't call John. He knew where the tools were. He went and got it, and the next thing you knew, the job was done, and that's what neighbors do in small towns.
Yep. That's just about being a family.
Yeah, exactly. So. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a good job.